Those of us living in the Northern Hemisphere are entering the darkest time of the year. At the same time, the crises and conflicts that we see all around the world continue to mount. People in Haiti are still suffering the effects of natural disaster. The Syrian conflict has now ground for a full decade. Myanmar teeters on the edge of civil war. In Germany, massive floodings are shown us that we, too, are vulnerable to the effects of climate change. Coronavirus makes all of this worse, and behind our masks we feel more isolated from one another than ever before. But at the same time, we can feel a little closer to those half-forgotten millions who have only ever known a life lived from day to day because of hunger, of fear, or violence. Our teams on the ground live out that closeness every day, and each of them has a story to tell.
The most important problem is the political situation and the associated insecurity and its most brutal, violent expression: kidnapping, rapes, violence against women. And on top, during the summer, we get an earthquake hitting the southern region of the country.
Again, the biggest shares of COVID came. Again, we have to go back there to the same scenario that we had in 2020. For the beneficiary, it was a very difficult moment because whatever they had, small savings, the first COVID cases in 2020, they already had spent everything, even our partners. Almost, they had lost the hopes also, whenever the second surge in 2021 arise. But continuous engagement with them, encouraging them, our staff, partners, and through them to the beneficiaries, we try not to lose the hopes.
This same year, in February, the country had a sudden change in government that was met with tension, countrywide uprising and protests. Soon this protest became a picture of violence and bloody encounters too. Many people caught in conflicting sides have gone into fleeing, with many villages displaced and the number of both internally displaced and refugees continue to increase.
We are working in mental health, psychosocial support. It needs to go to the people and the communities, more relation with communities. Due to restriction, we are not able to travel. And so we are not able to go to the people and the community, and that was the big challenges.
Ongoing violent clashes in part of the country persist between local farmers and the cattle holders. And the militant forces are still terrorizing the communities. So people have died and many families were displaced from their own home. So the consequences of climate change are most evident in South Sudan, with extreme weather where some part of the country experienced severe flooding while other parts were affected by drought. As a result, almost 70% of the population in South Sudan are depending on international aid, once again more than the year before.
Our biggest challenge was the COVID-19 pandemic that resulted into closure of schools, ban on mass gatherings, and restricted travel movements. For the closure of schools, it meant that students could not complete their courses in the agreed time frames.
Syria not being in the news, where we are faced with a global pandemic, people's attention turned away from the war in Syria or the conflict in Syria into other concerning issues.
Lebanon has been struggling with lots of crises for the last 2 years, mainly economical, financial, and even on the security level. Economically, things are very hard because the Lebanese pound has lost all of its value, and there's a big inflation affecting all the prices, so there's a big increase in prices for about almost anything.
What Malteser International has done for the earthquake, we have been present with the population in the first hours. And we are developing a response based on people's needs and people's demands. Of course, it's not sufficient. But in conclusion, we think we need to continue to listen to people, to continue to provide services that goes in what people are asking, to respect people's dignity, to show an active solidarity, and continue to keep faith and maintain this hope for Asian people.
We develop the modalities, we try to provide the supports and services as much as we can in different ways and means. So it was a moment, difficult, but now whenever we review the whole 2021, there are the areas where we can say that we have achieved much more than comparing to those obstacles and problems that we had.
We set up hotline toll-free numbers and team of psychologists, counselor through all the 7 provinces of Nepal, and we reached to people in that ways, and people also came for the services. So we provided mental psychosocial support through the virtually, and we were able to reach to people.
Amidst all this, we at MI continue to strive and keep the operations afloat in the best way possible, and to bring aid to people who need our support for primary, maternal, and child health care, water sanitation and hygiene, food security and livelihood, and also to respond to this pandemic. We adapted our programs and services based on the current needs and find ways to carefully navigate our field coordination in such a way that help will be delivered unhampered to our communities.
So we have expanded our work in Juba and Wau states, distributing seeds and agriculture tools, expanding the drinking water supply, providing cash distribution to refugees in temporary camps, and educated teachers and students about the danger of coronavirus. So nutritious food intakes also, we were providing such kind of training, health and hygiene among many other aspects on the daily life.
We reduced on our participants during meetings to ensure that we are in a manageable number. Some of our students resorted to online classes that were conducted. Also, we had to seek travel permits from the government authorities to ensure that we implement but also monitor the key activities, and we also provided PPE materials and testing whenever we had participants for training or meeting.
Our aim during 2021 was to keep Syria in the news as much as we can, to stop the displacement of further IDPs, to stop any conflict activity from affecting people and from forcing them to be displaced again and spreading the virus or spreading COVID-19 further.
MI's response has expanded, and MI actually expanded its presence even in all of Lebanon. So MI and the Order of Malta together are providing humanitarian assistance, transitional assistance as well, and it's all of course tailored to the needs of this extremely vulnerable population that has really extra needs every day.
These impressions from our colleagues around the world remind us that we are part of a worldwide family, not least because we are all made in the likeness of God. As the new year begins and we look back on the challenges behind us in 2021, we remain in the season of Christmas. This is our celebration of the moment when God humbled himself to take on the nature of one of the most vulnerable of his creations. An infant child born into a poor family, a refugee family, in an occupied country. This gesture of trust, hope and closeness truly is a moment of light in the darkness. And I hope and I pray that our closeness to one another and to the people in need that we serve may magnify that light, especially in the darkest of times. Thank you for supporting us, working with us, and for being part of our family. Let us continue to bring light to the coming new year and its challenges, whatever they may be, together. May God bless you and all His people around the world.